There seems to be much debate among certain Christian circles as to the correct day of the Sabbath. On which day is it correct to corporately worship Jesus? Let me deal with this in 3 brief segments. In this video, you will discover the biblical truth about this topic. The 3 brief segments will deal with the Old Testament law, New Testament revelation, and New Testament declaration. Under the Old Testament law, it cannot be disputed that the last day of the week, Saturday, was set aside by God Himself as the day of corporate worship among His people. The regulations were specific, and at times they were stringent. 5 specific offerings were established, and all manner of intricate details concerning the sacrifices were laid out. We now know, however, through New Testament revelation, that Jesus Himself fulfilled every one of these Old Testament or Old Covenant or Old Agreement commands, laws, and regulations. Jesus became our sacrifice. He became our offering. Jesus became our perfect lamb. He became our high priest, and His cross became our altar of sacrifice. His Holy Spirit is the smoke of the incense that fills the temple. We ourselves became the new temple in which resides the Holy Spirit of God. The New Testament is clear on this matter. We are now in Jesus Christ, and He is now in us. Now Jesus is our Sabbath rest. We rest in Him. Our born-again relationship with Jesus is our Sabbath law fulfillment. Here is the bottom line. Jesus Christ is our Sabbath. Listen to Hebrews chapter 4, verses 1 through 3, and then verses 9 through 11. Therefore, since the promise of entering His rest still stands, let us be careful that none of you be found to have fallen short of it. For we also have had the gospel preached to us, just as they did, but the message they heard was of no value to them, because those who heard it did not combine it with faith. Now we who have believed enter that rest. There remains then a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For anyone who enters God's rest also rests from his own work, just as God did from His. Let us therefore make every effort to enter that rest, which is Jesus Christ, so that no one will fall by following their example of disobedience. Jesus fulfilled all Sabbath and worship laws. A set day is no longer required. Sacrificing lambs and doves in the temple is no longer required. Jesus has completed, fulfilled, and embodied all of it. Now all we have to do is to rest in Him. If you belong to Jesus, every single day is a Sabbath day until we are with Him in glory. As far as setting aside a certain day for honoring Jesus' completed work of salvation on our behalf, we are free to set a day. And there is no better day, in my opinion, to do this than Sunday, the very day that Christians have set aside since the very first century. Why did they eventually set this day as their day of corporate worship? Among other reasons, probably because Jesus was resurrected on a Sunday. The resurrected Jesus first appeared to His disciples on a Sunday. Jesus appeared to them again 1 week later as a group on a Sunday. The Holy Spirit was given at Pentecost. Pentecost always falls on a Sunday. The church was born on a Sunday. The first gospel message after the resurrection was preached by Peter on that Sunday. The first converts into the brand new church occurred on a Sunday. John was in the Spirit, and he was given the Revelation, the last book of the Bible, on a Sunday. I choose Sunday to meet with my brothers and sisters for corporate worship. If by chance Sunday was prohibited as a day of meeting, any agreed-upon day of the week would be just as biblically acceptable. It would be just as holy. Because, dear friends, Jesus Himself is our Sabbath. He is our rest. Jesus is our day of worship. We are no longer under the old agreement worship laws. Jesus is the complete fulfillment of every one of them. If you are in Him, you are in compliance with God's law. From Colossians chapter 2, verses 16 and 17, therefore do not let anyone judge you by what you eat or drink, or with regard to a religious festival, a new moon celebration, or even a particular Sabbath day, because these are a shadow of the things that were to come. The reality, however, is found in Jesus Christ.